Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft.
Welcome in on the Postgame show. The Orange get that quad one win after all in a big win over Tennessee. 62-60 the final from inside the Dome. They're storming the court at the JMA Wireless Dome. And Adrian Autry, in the most important game of his time as the Syracuse head coach, gets his biggest win to date as a Syracuse head coach. And the phone lines are open here. We will be with you for the next hour talking Orange basketball after just a monumental win over Tennessee in a very stressful, very tight game. Down to the wire, Syracuse without their best player, without Donnie Freeman, does get one significant win they really, really needed in non-conference play. And boy, that makes their tournament path look a lot easier going forward. 315-437-7644 is the phone number to call. We'll get to Adrian Autry's full press conference when we have that as well. But let's jump right into the conversation on the phone lines. And, of course, we've got our guy Pat in Syracuse leading us off. What's up, Pat?
I think you did a great job leading it off. I mean, you just hit on four big things. I mean, first of all, definitely the biggest win for Red. It also had two or three signature moments for JJ, which was great because if you remember, obviously they were down 9, tied it back up. But then I think it was, I want to say we were up 4 or 6, and JJ had that unforced turnover at the top of the key. And then Tennessee came back and took a 1-point lead. And if Syracuse was to lose that game, that would have been probably the moment that I would have looked at as where the tide turned. But JJ, he had the big three coming off some good action. And then I don't know why they didn't run that action for the last possession. I'm never a big fan of, and a lot of teams do it. It's not just Syracuse. So I'm not dogging Red, but at the same time, why don't you try to move the defense? Like, the defense was loaded. They ran the pick, and then, the option 2 was Kyle. And, I hate to say it, but not a lot of people wanted him at the line with the game on the line, but at least he dragged one. Tennessee got a good look late, but, now it's basically damage control for the rest of the ACC to hold serve with some of these non-conference games to boost the ACC's, overall strength, because Syracuse probably will have a ACC conference resume to be rating contention for a bid. I would say, Tim, that preseason, if me and you were to look at it, we probably have one more loss than we'd like. But when you draw Iowa State as your third game, I think it was the way we lost, and everybody's already beat that to a dead horse.
Yeah, also, you didn't have Donnie Freeman for all 4 of these games. So that would have maybe changed my thinking a little bit. I mean, just to be competitive against Houston without Donnie and then win this game without Donnie, not to give Paulie credit, but he was saying, like, maybe if you just sort of do your job without Donnie, then the committee will keep that in the back of their mind when you get into ACC play, and hopefully you get him back, and hopefully you just continue to play good basketball from this point on.
Yeah, I'll leave you with this. I think the interesting thing is you could tell these guys haven't really played together, because when you have different guys leading the way, it's not because of the defense that they're facing night in and night out that they're just going to the weakest matchup. It's just everybody's still really trying to figure out their role. I mean, I was texting with Dro and Vito, and we still don't know who the leader is.
Well, I think JJ became it in the end of this game, which was great to see, because he needs to be that guy, right? And
yeah.
And that was the biggest takeaway for me, is we were so worried about end-of-game situation with JJ because of his foul shooting. He made 2 of the bigger shots of his Syracuse career there. And without Donnie on the floor, the way Nathan George was playing, really, he was off all night. And not to just point to the one negative, but that was very concerning how George played.
Well, if you look at the box score, as much as I didn't want Kyle at the line, he was the leader of why they won this game, and that was the defense.
He was tremendous on defense.
They waited too long to double the post. That was the most frustrating thing is they waited too long. In fact, till midway through the second half to start doubling that post, and that was effective. They're still trying to figure it out. There's only two returning players, and last time I checked, Donnie's not playing, so it is good. It's just glad because obviously if you lose this game, it's early December, and you're just and like I said. Over the last few years, it's getting late real early. Well, this year, that's not the case, and that's all you can ask for with the white stuff outside. You'd like to see the basketball bounce and matters. Thanks for the call, Tim.
Yep, I appreciate it as always. That's Pat in Syracuse. All right, we will take an early timeout just because we want to hear the full press conference from Adrian Autry. We will get you that as soon as we return. As soon as Red Autry gets to the podium, we will have all of his thoughts on the biggest win of his time at Syracuse, his fourth Quad 1 win to date, and a desperately needed Quad 1 win today for Syracuse. 62-60, they take down Tennessee. Jump on in the Cuse Sports Talk chat, 315-437-7644 if you want to line up your phone call right now. I'm sure we'll hear from a lot of you over the next hour, and excited to get things going on the Burdick Postgame Show after a big win for the Orange. Adrian Autry's press conference is next here on ESPN Radio and CuseSportsTalk.com.
To design the Lexus ES, all we had to do was listen.
Your ears said exactly where to put the speakers. Your eyes told us where to put the available head-up display.
Hey, Lexus, find me an alternate route.
Even your right foot helped out. They let us know you'd enjoy a little.
Chad, how are we doing? Are we vibing?
You had a lot to tell us.
Paulie messed up the log. I had to fix that.
Lexus ES.
Commercials, Paulie. What a win. What a win. Felt like we haven't experienced that in a while. That doesn't happen to Syracuse anymore. It's kind of catching me off guard. That was fun stuff. JJ was huge. What are they going to say now? The Cayenne JJ debate. I was happy that they closed with JJ, and I was happy to see JJ step up there. They need that JJ more. Yes, probably messing up something.
They may make some great gifts for the holiday season this year. Maybe for the holidays, if you're looking to buy some jewelry.
William Kyle was great. The really encouraging thing is that's a tough matchup for this team. No Donnie, Jalen Carey, the ghost of Jalen Carey haunting us. I mean, that's like the worst matchup they could have at the center position this year. And William Kyle hung in there. I mean, he definitely allowed a lot of points to Carey, but I mean, without Donnie Freeman, it's just tough to hang with Carey, not get in foul trouble. It's tough to roll with the front court lineup they had and not have rebounding be a major issue against that team. They boarded pretty well. I mean, -4 on the glass, but they only allowed 13 offensive rebounds after Tennessee had, I think, 8 in the first 10 minutes of the game.
They're also efficient and honest if you need that extensive repair. Bayberry Automotive knows how important your vehicle is for daily life. They're ASE certified, have the latest technology, competitive pricing, transparent estimates, and quick...
JJ's easy to root for. Not many people root for him, it feels like, sometimes.
You're sick of this. You don't know anything about cars, do you?
Oh, because of the... Yeah. But it's not the commercials we're on. Paulie. Yeah, Kyle was very, very good. I mean, some of his blocks, they've got a team that gets the crowd energized this year, too. It's been a while to see a team with this athleticism and this amount of transition opportunities.
.com, ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
Welcome back in on the Burdick Postgame Show. A happy one tonight for a change. The Orange taking down Tennessee, the 13th ranked team in the country. And they do it inside the JMA Wireless Dome for the biggest win of the Adrian Autry era to date. We called it the biggest game of the Adrian Autry era all week leading into it. Didn't have their best player. backs against the wall after an 0-3 trip to Vegas. You knew this was a game they absolutely had to have for NCAA tournament implications, and Syracuse gets it done behind a really nice overall team effort. Great to see J.J. Starling step up late in the game and look like an all-conference type of player. After all the flack that a lot of you have been giving J.J. Starling, after all the Kyan Anthony should be playing over J.J. Starling chatter, it was J.J. who goes 5 for 10 in this game, hits the 2 biggest shots of the game late, makes the pass to William Kyle, who somehow, of course, it was going to be William Kyle at the line there in stressful moments, and William Kyle somehow does make the second free throw, and that was just enough after Tennessee got a couple clean looks in the final minutes there. Really a nice look for their leading scorer in the game, Jalen Carey. We thought going into the game that their leading scorer might be Nate Ament. He was awful in this game. For a top 5 potential draft pick, Ament really struggled. 7 turnovers, was in foul trouble a little bit, 2 for 10 shooting in the game. So we're waiting on Adrian Autry's full press conference, and we'll get you that as soon as we have it. But with Rick Barnes at the podium right now, let's actually go to the phone lines, and then we'll get you Coach Autry when he is up. We will go right live to Adrian Autry, and you can always watch his full post-game press conferences on QSportsTalk.com. Let's first go to the phone lines, though, where we've got Chris in Syracuse. What's up, Chris?
Yeah, hi. How come they didn't play Zone on Carey? He was the only one scoring. They didn't show well from the three-pointer.
Chris, you're always negative, and I'm just going to warn you right now. I don't know if I'm feeling the negative energy. So how about you bring in a little touch of this is what Adrian Autry did good, and this is what he did bad. Can we do that tonight, Chris? Can we make that happen?
Like I said, every game, no matter what, William Kyle was a good player.
All right. Now you can. I like it. There's a yin and a yang here. William Kyle, good game. That's a positive. What else we got, Chris?
Well, what's the other thing? Why is fine? Anthony should be shooting jump shots. Why is he always not selling? You should go to the basket more. It's like, especially in key games.
He's a freshman. His shot selection has been kind of suspect in the last couple games. The thing that really drives me nuts about Kyan is he just feels like the ball sticks when it gets to Kyan sometimes. When they're running their plays, which people say they don't run plays, when they're running the screening action, sometimes it comes to Kyan at the top of the key and he just holds the basketball for 4 or 5 seconds, and you can't have that really against good defenses.
Well, the only thing is, what if they go inside more to William Kyle, to double team more, and then out to the wings? That's how they open up the floor that way. I don't understand why they don't do that more often. You know, they tend to shoot too many 3-pointers.
Well, I mean, they just knocked off the number 13 team in the country without their best player. So they did do some good things tonight, Chris. I know that you're going to nitpick, and I understand it, but, I mean, all in all, this is a night we should be happy about, right?
Well, the free throws, fine. Everything but the free throws, though, that's something got to be, I don't know, they got to do something with that. I don't know how, like a free throw shooting coach, something. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you there. I hear you. All right, we got some positivity out of Chris. That was an accomplishment there. We appreciate Chris for checking in. And as soon as Adrian Autry comes to the podium, we will get you that full press conference from Coach Autry, which is always brought to you by RomanoCars.com. That was a win. We got some positivity out of Chris. That's when you know things are looking up for Syracuse basketball. I'm not going to say Syracuse basketball is back because we got positivity out of Chris, but it's trending in the right direction. It's almost like Syracuse lacrosse. You can't call them back until they win a national championship. You can't really say Syracuse basketball is back after a regular season win. We can get into should they have actually stormed the court. Is that an indicator that they're back or not back? All that fun stuff. But look, I like to have fun with Chris. Chris was positive for a little bit. I had to, eke it out of him there, but there was some positivity. Speaking of positivity, let's talk a little bit more about William Kyle. Kyle was tremendous in this game. At the start of the game and really going into the game and thinking about the matchup here, I was worried that Jalen Carey and the Tennessee bigs at large were going to be the first time that we feel like, William Kyle is undersized at the center position. And at the beginning of the game, Jalen Carey scored 10, 12 of their first 20 points, it felt like. And it was just fitting that his name is Jalen Carey. I mean, you can't even script some of this stuff with Syracuse basketball sometimes. He ended up 10 for 16, 22 points, 9 rebounds. Middle part of the game, I was wondering who's going to get in foul trouble of Carey or Kyle. Really, neither of them got in foul trouble. I thought it was a pretty well officiated game. They kind of let him play for the most part, which was good to see. And look, Carey was a problem, yes, and Carey got a pretty clean look at the end. And if that shot goes in, we're getting angry callers right now, and that's just how basketball goes. But I did feel like Red was kind of due for a break. I mean, the guy, he drew Iowa State in the third game in Vegas. That's a nightmare matchup on a quick turnaround. You don't have your best player for literally the most important stretch of the season, the stretch of the season that you were building up to and counting on. So they got a break there with Carey missing a shot at the end. William Kyle made that one free throw at the end, which I don't think any of us felt confident that he was going to make one of them, but it was good to see him in that moment come through. And even though the form looks terrible, and Chris is right about that, the free throw shooting is still a major issue. And him and JJ at the end of games this year is going to give us all heart attacks probably, and just making us all stressed at the end of game situations based on their free throw shooting. But they got it done. And you got to give them credit because we kept saying, you need a win, you need a win. It's not about moral victories anymore. And they were able to get it done against a very solid Tennessee team. 62-60 the final. We're waiting on Coach Autry. Before him, let's go back to the phone calls. We got Sean in Cicero. How's it going, Sean?
I am doing awesome tonight, man.
Love it. This is the positivity we need, Sean. I love it.
I had such a crap day with the job that I do, and all I could do was pray that I could get home before 7 o'clock and sit down and watch this game. And my brother's birthday's tomorrow, so I sat here with him, and we watched this game, and there's a lot of stuff that you don't want to see. You don't want to see, and this is my negative, you don't want to see Kyle or JJ right now on the line.
No. No one wants to see that. Yep.
Is what Kyle and Sadiq did underneath the rim tonight, forcing so many bad shots and getting the blocks.
Yeah.
How many blocks did Kyle end up with?
That's a great question. Let me pull that up. It had to be a good amount. He had 6 blocks in this game. Yeah.
6?
Yeah.
Okay.
6 blocks.
That is all hustle and determination. Just he got a couple shoulders into the chest, which knocked him off his spot. But I think he came back in the second half, and he knew that was going to come.
Yeah.
And he did take that one charge that he stepped into. Man, I'm telling you. And he's got just a little bit of a baby jump. He's got that power inside, and Sadiq White is just nasty, dude. He gets up.
Yeah.
So I want to bring all the support and all the hype that I can to these guys. For them to come back off of 3 games last week where they busted their butt in the first 2 games, and I think they just ran out of gas in the third. And you know, it wasn't like they had a lot of time to get ready for this game with Thanksgiving and everything coming. But I think the guys did great. I think JJ, he stepped up. And I told my brother, I said, this is his night. He's going to step up. He hit that 3-pointer, and then he came off on the elbow and hit that, that jumper. I was going nuts, dude. And then my brother's like, dude, calm down. He's like, the game's not over. We're only up by 1 point right now. So,
yeah. It's good to have that feeling again, right? I mean, it's snowy, it's winter, this is what Syracuse basketball used to bring to us. And I'm not saying that we should go do cartwheels or even storm the court after taking down an opponent in the regular season. It's still one win of hopefully many big wins this year to get to the ultimate goal. But this felt right tonight. Yeah.
That was the weirdest thing, that they stormed the court. I'm like, this is Syracuse, dude. That's 13 Tennessee. I mean, it's not like they just beat number 1 Duke or Florida or, it was cool. I was happy for him. And I am still going to be happy. Who do they run up against next?
They got Hofstra in a little bit. I believe it's the next. Yeah. It's a little bit of a break. Right? Yeah. Yeah, I think it's,
Okay.
I'll pull it up, but I'm pretty sure it's the 11th they play them, or I'll look at it, but it doesn't really matter right now. We know that it's a stretch of teams.
No, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
But anyways, awesome game. They all played. Dude, you know what I couldn't understand is, my dude puts up 19 in the first half. He comes back. He doesn't score any points in the second half.
Yeah, I think they put a different defender on Nate Kings, and they did make him sort of a focal point of their defensive game plan. I will say that bothered me a little bit too. I think part of it is Nate Kings is just not a selfish guy by nature. And even though he was cooking and he was doing his thing in the first half, by them putting a different defender on him and them focusing on him, he just became, not much of a factor. But he still was doing the right things on defense for sure.
And you know what you just said is I don't think any of them are playing selfishly. I think they're looking for that lob pass. They're looking to get the ball kicked to the corner. Not everybody,
They made it the Loud House. They gave us a tremendous effort, and that's the type of support we need and this team needs. And I'm just so proud of what they did. They showed up and they showed out. So I just wanted to congratulate them, right from the beginning. And getting into the game, I just thought, our guys, everything we talked about and everything we've been working on, as far as the summer coming together and being a one unit and one team and really fighting. And I thought we did a phenomenal job today of that. I thought the last 2 minutes, man, just everybody just stepped up. Guys made plays, and we won it on the defensive end of the floor. And, that's what you got to do, if you want to beat teams like the Tennessees of the world. I thought, these guys just really showed tremendous heart. Will Kyle steps up and just, knocks, one free throw. That's all we needed was one, right? Which, he stepped up big time. He made blocks. He did everything. I thought Sadiq White, we have been talking about rebounding. He came out and, 9 rebounds today. I just thought he was phenomenal. I mean, everybody just stepped on, and then our senior leader, JJ Starlin, he stepped up when we needed him, again, I'm just so happy and thrilled for this team and for our fans. They deserve, a win like this. We got to enjoy this and then get ready and keep moving. But we're going to enjoy this, and I'm just really proud of this group of guys, my coaching staff. Everyone worked so hard again, to put the work in and the effort in with these guys every day. And I'm just glad that we finally got a result that we thought we had a couple last week that didn't turn our way, but they stayed with it. And I'm just glad that they were able to do this at home in front of our crowd.
Adrian, I know it's really early in the season, but how important was it to get this win tonight coming off that trip?
I think every win is important, but in particular, being able to play against win at home against a team like Tennessee was huge because we were so close last week. We really fought and battled, and I felt for our guys because, I thought we had a chance to come away with a couple of victories last week, but it's all a process. This is the process. This is the season, right? This is a long journey. Even today, if we would have came up short, I think, what our conference is doing, we're probably going to have 8 or 9 more opportunities of quad ones, after this. So, but I was just happy for our guys, and in particular this group, to be able to bounce back from there.
You talked about JJ. He's not counted. He's had some injuries. And today, you just address that the hardness, I guess, like the way he played, the toughness. He guarded the 6'10" guy today, and just what he brought to your team.
I thought he brought tremendous leadership. I thought he was excellent on both ends of the floor. He was guarding, a 6'10" guy. He really gave him problems, and then offensively, he made plays, and then he made big shots when we needed it. And, and that's what he can do. Just so proud of him, being able to kind of, show the growth in his game, especially defensively. I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he was so tough. And, him and Nate Kings, they did a phenomenal job on those two guys, but staying with JJ, I was proud to see him. We've been challenging him on that end of the floor, so I was just really proud to see him step up today.
So there was a big run in that
beginning of the second half, 2 dunks, block, the crowd's going crazy. Is that kind of what you envisioned, when you built this team, the energy that this team can bring?
Yeah, I think this team has speed and athleticism, and we have aggression. So I think, our defense is a big part of what we're going to be. Even when our offense is not going well, I think today we were able to get, I think we forced them into 17 turnovers, right? Like that was something. We rebounded, we battled on the glass, and we got guys that are all versatile. Sadiq, Will, they can get it off the glass and take 1 or 2 dribbles and get it up the court. So, it was exciting. This team has been exciting. We just got to continue to get better.
What changed defensively from that 10-0 Tennessee run to maybe held them to less than 10 points the rest of the game?
I just thought we held our ground. I thought we, we did a better job of keeping those guys in front of us. And Will, Carey is a load down there. And I thought towards the end, he stood them up once or twice, and we got possessions, we got rebounds when they did miss. We didn't give them a lot of second opportunities.
Kyle had 6 blocks tonight. Can you just talk about the presence he brings to that?
Yeah, he's I call him a disruptor. He's defensively, he's one of the better defensive guys that I've ever seen. With the way he can move and jump and his timing and rebounding, and he has a great awareness of what's going on that really helps him. So, he's disruptive, and that's what we expect him to be, and that's what we need him to be.
Coach, you talk a lot about analytics, defensive kills. You started the game with one. How did that really set the tone for the rest of the game? I
thought that was big. I'm glad you paid attention to that. Yeah. But our whole identity is based on energy, juice, getting stops, getting kills, and I thought whenever you can start a game with a kill, that's always a good sign for us.
Coach, Nate Kings really carried you guys in that first half. How far can this team go when Nate Kings is playing like that?
We're going to take it one game at a time. I don't like to predict again. But, again, this is a team that is balanced, still not whole yet, Nate Kings, I know offensively he was phenomenal in the first half, but the defensive job that he did on Gillespie, who I think is, one of the best point guards in the country, to be able to, make him work for everything he had today was also exceptional. So, again, two-way guys, that's what we talk about, we want two-way guys, and, he did a phenomenal job tonight.
Adrian, is there something that you took from Vegas last week that allowed you to get over the hump and win a close game tonight?
No, I think the biggest thing that we took from Vegas and I took from Vegas is that, when we're playing with the right juice, when we're playing with the right energy level, level 5, and we're connected and it's a whole team, we think we got a chance to compete with anybody in the country.
I know you briefly touched on this earlier, but when you go to Vegas, play 2 close games, a game you were in at halftime, and don't go away with the result, even though you kind of downplayed the importance of results. How important is it for your guys in the locker room, despite what you might be talking on a day-to-day basis, to have a way to kind of boost your confidence?
Well, I think, like anything, right, we always want to win, and I think this win definitely, shows the hard work that they've been putting in. I just don't, I don't know, people understand how hard we work and how hard these guys work, and they really get after it. And to be able to come away with a win like this and being close last week, it definitely helps their confidence.
You talk about your team not being whole. An update on Donnie, the week thing, day-to-day?
Yeah, it's probably day-to-day. Again, I wish I had a timeline. The only thing that I can say is it's nothing that, that I know of what particular day that is. But he's progressing. I know that, and he's feeling better. So we expect to hopefully have him soon.
Bryce wasn't available even tonight.
Had a little light hamstring pull, but he'll be back. He worked hard. It was right up to game time before we ruled him out. So we'll have him back by next week.
Coach, there was a spell in the second half where it felt like JJ took a couple of those big shots. What does that say about the type of player he is and leader of this team?
I think it really speaks to his leadership and obviously the player that he is. We're familiar. He's a dynamic guy that can score the ball. And I thought, at the end, we put the ball in his hands and he made the plays. He made the reads. He just, again, he made the plays. But it just really speaks to, to be able to do that, because his game it was a hard game. It was back and forth and he hadn't really got anything going. And to be able to stick with it, that just shows tremendous leadership and senior leadership as well.
Did you probably make the decision to put JJ on Nate?
JJ is a strong guard. He can hold his ground, and we thought that his strength and his ability to to get under someone like a man that plays a little bit more on the perimeter than he does near the basket would help us.
City Point is such a big, bouncy personality and such a presence out there. Is there times you have to kind of tell him just like rein it in just a little bit, or you don't want to do it all?
Not at all.
Okay.
All right. That's who he is. Again, I think as he gets more experience, he'll be able to kind of pick his spots, but I don't want a passive Sadiq. I want him to be aggressive and go after people, and I thought, the second half he really did that.
Coach, I know you guys are doing like fighter of the game right after wins this year. Just how did that come about, and just how does that encapsulate what you're trying to do this year?
It's something that our coaching staff and our coaching staff came up with, and we talk about how we speak. We talk about level 5. We talk about energy. We use a lot of metaphors like hunting and in the ring and fighting. Right? We want to fight. Right? That's what we want to do. We want to fight, and I think. In anything in life, you got to be able to fight. Good times, bad times, you got to keep fighting. And so those are the things that we talk about. Those are our buzzwords. That's how we recognize our effort. That's how we recognize where our defense is at. Those are the words that we use. So, our coaching staff came up with it, and the guys, they look forward to it. They buy into it, and it's a real cool thing to get rewarded because typically it's someone that's doing something that's not always a leading scorer neither. It's always someone that does, the things in the margins, things that, that you guys don't write about sometimes.
Kyle goes to the line there with 13 seconds to go. Obviously, he's struggling there this year. He misses the first. Can you in any way imagine what's going through his head as he gets ready to take the second shot? You know what? I looked at him, and he didn't look nervous at all. So he's a very confident kid, and he stepped right in and made the next one. But the one thing about Will Kyle, I say it all the time. He's so confident in his abilities, and he's you got to have that. You got to have that, and I think the more he'll get to the foul line, the more he'll get more comfortable. But that was huge today. That was the difference in the game. No, I don't. I pace up and forth, back and forth, and then I'm trying to anticipate what the next play may be, make or miss.
After the game, fans rushed the court again, second time that's happened. What do you think of a court storming after a game like this?
I think for this particular group, in general, that's college basketball, and it's fun for our students that are a big part of it, our community, those things, that's what college basketball is about. And, we want to have more of those. Those are good things. When they're storming the court, that's a good sign. So we want to have more of those. Again, I can't thank our student section and the people that was at the game today. Again, it was they came and they were loud, and I know that they gave our guys some extra juice.
Time for one more. Coach, going back to Sadiq, how does his motor fuel his team and where he needs to go for this?
I think a guy that can, he's different. He's a different type of athlete. He not only is he fast twitch, he's fast twitch laterally, and he's bouncy and he's fearless. I thought that some of the stuff that he did with our defensive coverages was phenomenal today. But it's contagious. Him and Will Kyle. I think those two guys are two of the best athletes in college basketball, and they play fearless. And they can do things that get the crowd involved and get our teams energized, whether it's a block, whether it's a dunk, things like that. And they're pretty good offensive players too.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
As we do every single time on our Burdick postgame show for home games, get his full post-game press conference. That's always brought to you by RomanoCars.com. You can shop today from anywhere at RomanoCars.com. Working a timeout here. We'll get back to your comments on the phone lines. If you'd like to call in, if you're leaving the Dome, if you're jacked up after the big win tonight over Tennessee, 62-60 the final. The Orange go court storming after the biggest win of the Adrian Autry era. 315-437-7644. If you'd like to call in, we've still got plenty of time left on the show. We're going to be going late night here, and we should. This is a fun one to talk about after the Orange take down Tennessee for the biggest win of the Adrian Autry era. Back with more of our Burdick postgame show on ESPN Radio and CuseSportsTalk.com.
Did you miss Drive Time with
William Kyle is a dog. Level 5 energy won out tonight, folks. Take that. Went in the ring. We fought level 5 all night long. I don't really care too much about the court storming either. I think it's kind of fun. I mean, if I was a student there, I'd be running on the court. I have no problem with it, really. I think Red's answer was a good one. It's kind of what it's all about. JJ does deserve credit. My, how the tables have turned. A lot of compliments of Red, a lot of JJ compliments. What's going on in here? What happened to Kai and Anthony is objectively better at basketball. I don't want to get into arguments tonight. We're all having a good time. Phone's ringing, Paul. Are the Orange back? I don't know if they're back, but that was a huge win. That was kind of the brand of basketball that Coach Autry has talked about when he took the job. Getting up and down, lobs, athleticism, defense. Oh, God. Paulie. Got to figure out the log because Paulie, are you in the chat? Now I don't even know where the frickin' rejoin is. These aren't right. This is a nightmare, folks. Can you figure out, the rejoins? Where are they? Paulie!
Darn it, Paulie!
I guess that you just have to copy one from up
Basically.
there. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Where do you want it?
Just right there, yeah. And then we got to kill
You gotta
this.
kill the ESPN and put it
Yeah, automation. Yeah, okay. Where is... I'll just drag it, right?
No, with that, just click here.
Oh. Click right here.
No. Yeah. No. Just click on it. Yeah, there you go. And then break.
Okay, and then we don't want this,
No, you
right?
don't want that.
Yeah, okay.
You're probably going to have to do that for every single one. From here on.
Yeah, we have 2 more, right?
You're going to have to do it for every
Yeah.
single one.
All right, thank you. Paulie! I'm just going to keep screaming, Paulie. UNC, last ranked win. A couple years ago.
This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
Welcome back in on the postgame show. Tim Leonard with you, and the phone lines are lit up. In a good way for once. 315-437-7644. Our Massage NV hotline is a ringing tonight as the Orange take down Tennessee. 62-60, a quad one win. We assume it will stay as a quad one win as well over number 13 Tennessee. Really big win tonight for Adrian Autry, and great to see the guys come through down the stretch. Great to see J.J. Starling make some winning plays, and a lot to like about how Syracuse played without their best player, Donnie Freeman, how they rebounded against a very good rebounding, very big Tennessee team. Tennessee was +4 overall on the boards, but the Orange did a much better job at protecting the offensive glass in the second half. Tennessee entered this game third best mark in the country at offensive rebound rate, according to KenPom. They end up with 13 offensive rebounds. Felt like about 10 or 8 of those came in the first 10 minutes of the game. So they cooled off a little bit in that department, and the Orange did enough down the stretch after building up a lead, kind of losing it, did lose it at one point. They got some winning plays from J.J. Starling. All right, let's go to the phone lines and continue the conversation on the phone lines. Let's start with Jake in Iowa, who is next up. Jake, what's on your mind?
Tim, thanks for taking my call. I'm a lifelong Syracuse fan who says, I wish I was there tonight. 20 years ago, Syracuse fans didn't say that. We were there. So I'm hoping this is the kind of game that starts to bring us back. In terms of looking at the game itself, Nate Kings with 19 points in the first half. I think Tennessee kind of shifted their defense over to him, and that opened things up for JJ. And that was just the JJ I remember. I every time he hit a shot, I put my hands in the air. I know this is only the 8th game of the season, but it kind of reminded me of a game where a guy named Jerry McNamara hit 6 threes in the first half and didn't score in the second half. And I know 8th game of the season is not a national championship.
Sure.
But, boy, after the years we've had, this one kind of feels like that. Player of the game, Nate Kings. Thanks for taking my call.
I appreciate it, Jake. That's Jake in Iowa. And look, he's right. It feels right to just see Syracuse win one of these games for the first time in a while. They were due. Red was due. It just felt like Syracuse was kind of due for a good break as a community that follows Syracuse sports after the last couple of weeks. It was snowy. It was kind of dreary out today. The roads were rough. And we've always talked about how Syracuse basketball gets us through the winter around here. And Syracuse basketball means so much to this community. And it's awesome if you are a member of the community right now. If you're leaving the game, if you're celebrating, you should be. That was a monumental win tonight. And he's right about J.J. Starling. For all the people that were kind of down on J.J. Starling, that's the J.J. this team needs, and that's the J.J. that we have seen before, and he came through in the big moments. And I'm not even convinced that he's 100% healthy yet. He still looked a little banged up at times in this game with that hamstring injury. And the free throw shooting's a mess, yes, but that's the J.J. Starling that this team needs. And as a veteran leader, you could tell that J.J. felt that emotion. J.J. was like a fan celebrating towards the end there, knowing that he has put in the time. And that's what Red was really harping on in the postgame press conference, how these guys work extremely hard, and maybe we're starting to see the hard work pay off a little bit. Back to the phone lines where we've got Rob, who is next up in Connecticut. Hey, Rob.
Hey, TL, great victory tonight, huh?
Where did this TL come from, Rob? I got to know. You're the first person that's ever called me this.
Well, Tim Leonard, it rolls off the tongue, and I would go with it if I were you.
All right.
Other things.
All right. I mean, the chat's picking it up, so you've started something. I got to give you some credit for that. But what stood out about the game?
I appreciate that. Okay, great. So, 2 things real quick. Do you think the other marquee victory that Coach had was that victory a couple seasons ago against Oregon?
I was thinking UNC. UNC's the other big ranked win inside the Dome. But Oregon was a nice win, too.
Yeah, that was in that, 300 capacity arena, right? That was
yeah, Sioux Falls, yeah. Yeah.
And one other can you explain the importance of the? Oh my God! Can you explain the importance of the victory? And then I'll hang up now. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
All right, Rob. We appreciate Rob, who's calling me TL now for some reason. The importance of the victory, I don't even think I have to say it again, but I mean, it was really, really big to get a win tonight because of the rest of your non-conference schedule and because of the ACC and what the ACC has been in the last handful of years. And now really all Syracuse fans need to start rooting for the ACC and the challenge the rest of this night and tomorrow night. And they got to hope that Syracuse still needs to be a top 5, top 6 team probably in the conference to feel good about their chances. But as Paulie always says, and probably says too much, you're not behind the 8 ball after you win this game tonight. This at least makes you leave the non-conference schedule and you have one win in the bag that is a monumental win for sure. Phone lines keep on ringing. We continue on the Massage MV hotline. We're going to be going late tonight, and that is perfectly fine. Let's go to Nick, who is in Syracuse, and Nick has been waiting very patiently. What's up, Nick?
TL, let me tell you, man, this is one of the most exciting wins I've ever been at in the long time. As a lifelong Syracuse fan, this is a moment I've been longing for years now. Like, I've been itching. We've been close. We've had some big wins in the past, but with this group, with Red finally getting the big quad 1 win, I'm feeling real good going forward. You know, I'm not trying to maybe like overcompensate on what we're capable of here, but to counter the caller before Red's press conference here, yeah, it's very okay to storm the court. It's not corny to storm the court for a win like this. What? It's not. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I loved the energy the fans were giving. I was able to sneak onto the court. And let me tell you, the players were jacked up. They're giving the energy right back to all the fans. And you know what, TL? Let me tell you something, brother. It was unbelievable. That's all I got for you. Thanks for taking my call.
I love it. We've got some fans leaving the game jacked up, and that has not happened in a little bit, it feels like. That was a huge win, and I love hearing from all of you guys right now that are saying you're lifelong fans, and this is the feeling that you remember. And he's right. We don't need to go too crazy about one win in the non-con here. There's still a long season ahead, and Red was saying that in his press conference. But let's enjoy this one for sure, because it felt like we all sort of needed this win. And as a community, it does feel like this is some hard work paying off for the team and just everyone that follows Syracuse basketball so closely and cares so much about all of these games. It's nice to see them on the right side of one of these close games in a really important time to get the big win tonight. Back to the Massage MV hotline. We've got Vito and Clay. We might set a record for guests on the Massage MV hotline tonight. I love it. What's on your mind, Vito?
Well, yeah, it's going to be in a game like this, man. We've been waiting a long time for this.
Absolutely.
So this is the one thing I've been telling everyone about this team since the first game I've seen them is the defensive intensity is nothing like we've seen in years. And that's going to give them a chance in games where we know they're going to go cold. And to have the defensive intensity like it is with these guys, there's a lot of athletes on this team. I called after the last game, not the Houston game, and I said I love how Kyle alters shots.
Yeah,
he's a force down low that teams are going to be worried about all season long, and we saw tonight. I mean, the dude was going nuts blocking. They're bigs right in their faces, and. They're obviously trying to use him on offense. If he comes down the baseline, the guy's got a 44-inch vertical. He's already 6'9". Nobody else but him is going to be able to get those balls, and that's something teams got to worry about all year long. And, I think at UCLA, he was just in a bad situation. I think he averaged 3 over there. So, you give him all these minutes, and the guy's I think he averages, tonight 9.9 before the game. So I just really like that dude. For all the flack Autry's gotten, I think that he was the best portal pickup. Better than George, better than Betsy, better than Soiree.
And that was probably the most criticized portal pickup, right? I mean, everyone was wondering, is that really going to be the starting center? Is it the 6'9" guy that they're rolling out at center? So I'm with you. And I would also add that I felt like this was the toughest matchup so far. And Kyle's gone through a stretch of teams here that are physical, big, post players that can really cause problems on a guy that is considered undersized. So for us to be this complimentary of Kyle after going up against Jalen Carey, and yes, Jalen Carey got his points, but that was the type of matchup that might expose Kyle if he is going to get exposed at a time this season. So that's what's really exciting about it. To get 6 block shots and be the star of the game against Tennessee is very encouraging.
Well, that was going to bring me to my next point. I was singing a lot of praise for him there, but let's talk about that. So in the last 4 games, I think they played Houston and Kansas, and he scored 13 and 11 against those guys. And then they played Rutgers and I can't remember who the other one was, and he got 4 points and 6 points.
Iowa State, you mean? You said Rutgers.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the Tennessee big. I'm sorry. Okay, I was not following you. Yeah. When you said Houston and Kansas, it's just weird that they played like the same teams as Syracuse. Keep going.
Yeah, it is. But that just shows you that there's a problem there. So we're going to have to see how they coach Kyle. Against these bigs. What's he going to do? Because he can't body up against them. But I will say this. I'll let you get your point in. But I saw early on how Carey was dropping the shoulder into him, and he stood his ground and drew the offensive foul. I think it's going to have to be something like that. He's going to need to make him drop the shoulder in him, try to draw the offensive charge. I don't know what else he can do because he is pretty skinny.
Yeah, I hear you. I think he did a good job, and I appreciate you checking in. That's Vito and Clay. I think he did a good job of fronting and trying to make sure that he stayed in front of Carey or whoever the big was in situations so that it was tougher for the entry pass to come in, the lob pass to come in. That was clearly a part of the scouting report, it seemed like, for the Orange, was to make sure that Kyle got in front of the big. I would also say that, yes, that was sort of a problem, how many points Jalen Carey got. And in a way, that's the type of matchup that you wonder, are bigs going to look at it and attack Kyle a little bit more? But at the end of the day, Kyle still blocked 6 shots. And Syracuse, as a team defense, it felt like Tennessee was just going inside because that was the matchup they could attack. There was a lot of chatter from Red in the postgame press conference about J.J. Starling defending Nate Ament, which, for all the talk about the coaches don't make good moves and everything, I mean, I don't think any of us would have had J.J. on the 6'9", 6'10" guy, and it worked. And Ament is someone that if you go through the last 3-4 games and what he has been scoring, you would have thought he would have been a factor in this game or put up 15, 20 points, and he ends up with 7 turnovers, 11 points on 2 for 10 shooting. And honestly, if you would have told me going into this game that there's a player on Tennessee who's a top 5 draft pick, I would not have been able to point him out. I did not think Ament played a good game at all, and that's encouraging for Syracuse. Gillespie, their main guy at point guard, who is one of the best point guards in the country, 10 points. He did have 7 assists, but it wasn't like he totally dictated the game. So Syracuse, maybe their weakness is a little bit, they're a tiny bit undersized at center, but they held their own against Tennessee in other areas, and that should be applauded. We do have to work in a break. Then we'll get back to your phone calls on the Massage MV hotline, and we'll wrap things up on the postgame show. Fun postgame show, late night here on CuseSportsTalk.com. After the biggest win of the Adrian Autry era, the Orange take down Tennessee without their best player in a game they absolutely had to have to feel good about what they did in the non-conference slate, to not get behind the 8 ball. 315-437-7644. If you are leaving the Dome, if you're pumped up, if you want to talk Syracuse basketball, we'll go late night tonight with you on the Burdick postgame show. After this timeout, we'll get back to more of your comments on the Massage MV hotline here on ESPN Radio, CuseSportsTalk.com.
Hi, Christy. Ready to run out to
No, I have more than 3, right? Where am I?
So ESPN feed was here, so I put the information right here, and I was trying to drag the post game in, but it wouldn't let me out there. So you're on 3 commercials right now. You could just.
Where am I? I don't even know.
Just hit go there.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll add in a couple. Yeah. I mean, just
drag.
Yeah, let me first add in this, and then and then we'll need an automation break. Paulie. Okay, we'll just go like that's fine. I don't really care. I mean,
well, you're still only at 3 commercials.
Why though?
Because you need to drag them over. So like.
No, but I'm putting them in the log. Right?
You're putting them down low.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so like I would just drag.
I got it. Hang on.
Yeah, there you go.
We don't want this up. Sorry, chat. Blame Paulie.
And then just drag a liner.
We'll just do that. And then,
Bang.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
well, here, flip. Take out this one.
Why? Oh, yeah. Good call. All right. We're back. What did I miss in the chat? How we doing? Ken Palm bumped him to 63 for anyone that cares about that. 71 to 63. I don't think the net rankings are going to update till the morning. Let the kids have fun. Yeah, Nate Kings is fun, man. He's a good player. Nathan George was the only guy I was disappointed in tonight. Everyone else played, for the most part, well. I mean, Kyan, he's just a freshman that's going to do some... I mean, he had some nice plays. He had a big 3. I'm not trying to, talk about him as if he was bad, but he's a freshman that's growing right now. I think we got a little too excited about Kyan in the early non-conference games, but that's fine. The night is young. Good that we at least had the option to storm the court. Good to win a game that is borderline storming the court. PS and SI. Rob in Connecticut has started something that will never end now, I fear. Five Uncrustables. Holy cow. That's a lot of protein. Yeah, Mercyhurst. Stonehill, look out. Clear the court. Noah Lobdell.
W Postgame Show.
Welcome back in on the Burdick BMW, Burdick Lexus, Burdick Ford, Burdick Toyota postgame show. Happy one tonight. The Orange get that big win they desperately needed off the 0-3 trip to Las Vegas. Biggest stretch of the non-conference schedule, doing it without their best player. And really, not to just go back to what Steve has been saying, but really it's been one bad half of basketball. It was a really bad half of basketball against Iowa State. But you sort of salvage that, and you can understand why that out-of-character half happened a little bit, because it was the third game in 3 days, and it was a nightmare draw there in Las Vegas. They come back home, backs against the wall. Really important game against a Tennessee team that I do think is one of the best teams in the country again, at least top 15 good. And they made the winning plays down the stretch, and it was J.J. Starling who stepped up in a big way. And a lot of players to shout out. Sadiq White had probably his best half of his Syracuse young career to this point. White goes for 10 points, 9 rebounds, almost a double-double. Nate Kings in the first half basically kept them in the game. He scores 19 points in the first half out of the Oranges, 32 points in the first half. Did not attempt a single shot in the second half, but a good team effort there in the second half, as Tennessee clearly put a lot of attention on Nate Kings in the second half. He still played 17 minutes in the second half, did not attempt a shot. Sadiq White had 8 points, 5 rebounds in the second half alone. J.J. Starling had 11 of his 12 points after halftime, and the Orange get this big win. Phone lines are still open here on the Burdick postgame show, 315-437-7644. Let's go back to the Massage MV hotline where we've got Dro in Clay. What's up, Dro?
Hey, man. Yes, definitely a big win tonight. Touching a couple things. People complaining about storming the court. Look, these are 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids. They're in college. What else are they going to do tonight? Go home and study for the finals next week. Let them have fun. I think it's great. I've got no problem with that. If I'm out there storming the court at my age, different story. But 18, 19-year-olds out there, let them do what they got to do. I don't see any harm in that whatsoever. And I think it's good for morale. I've been critical of Autry. A lot of people have been critical of Autry. I got a text from a friend tonight saying, we'll see what Autry's made of these last 4 minutes. And, you got to give credit where credit's due. He figured out a way. They drew up some plays. JJ came out big. We talked about Sadiq White came out big, too. I think he had 9 rebounds tonight. Overall, just a win. And, it was frustrating for me last week because I felt, even though we lost to Kansas last week by 11 points, that wasn't that bad of a loss. And it's okay, we're there. That second half really killed us last week. So what I want to see going forward is don't have any 20-point losses again this year. I think that I think we're better than that. We should be. This team is better than 20-point losses. I think we're past that. So hopefully that's the last we see of that. Win our next 5 games. Get the 10-3 for ACC play starts, and then just kind of go from there. But look, not that the season's over tonight, but people like to be critical a lot. But look, we complained, we've moaned, we've said everything about this team, but they won the game tonight, and it's a quad 1 win, and it's a big win, and the fans have reason to celebrate and be happy with that win tonight. Because you lose that game tonight, I mean, you're looking at probably uphill battle of the tournament. That win saves your season, as crazy as that sounds. And we technically could have taken 2 out of 4. If we had taken care of Houston last week, we didn't. So hopefully we're getting back in the right track. Long ways to go, but I'm happy for Autry tonight, happy for the team, and I just they fought their butts off tonight, and that was great to see. I felt he tightened up the bench a little bit tonight too, and I like William Kyle. I like him a lot. His aggressiveness. He may be undersized, but let me tell you, he does not back down from anyone on that court whatsoever.
Yeah,
he'll go after anyone. I mean, no offense to Eddie Lampkin, I'll take William Kyle over Eddie Lampkin any day of the week, and that's not a mock to William Kyle. But let's just hope that we hopefully things will improve. And listen, that was a great win. I can't think I covered everything I could have covered.
I think you did. Yeah, it's well said, Dro. Yeah.
Noah Lobdell wasn't there tonight, and hopefully he'll be there for the next game.
Okay, I got you. All right, there is Dro and Clay. Man, fun one tonight for Syracuse. I agree with a lot of what he just said there, and we can still work in one more phone call if you call right now at 315-437-7644. I think the big fear was it just felt like they deserve to win one of these 4 games, but it's hard to get over the finish line. It's hard to actually do it against a team of that caliber. And you saw Tennessee made some winning plays there to tie it back up at 60. And Tennessee's a veteran team that kind of knows what they're doing, and they've been in those moments before. And even though it's a hostile environment on the road and all that, Tennessee made some nice plays. So it's hard to win these types of games. And I think Coach Autry has to be letting out a big sigh of relief right now because his team is definitely good enough to make the tournament. And what I was worried about is I thought at one point they were going to lose the game, and I was going to get on here on the postgame show, and my takeaway was going to be, it's a shame that this team didn't win one of these 4 games because now it is really hard to make the tournament when we all know, we've all been watching this team, and with the exception really of the second half against Iowa State, nothing about this year's team has reminded you of last year's team. And nothing about this year's team has not said that this shouldn't be, at least at bare minimum, a bubble team or a team that's in the conversation to make the tournament. This is a team that has competed with 4 of the best teams in the country. And also, for all the chatter about the offense, they don't run plays, it's crappy offense, all that, they're going up against 4 of the best defenses in the country in succession. Houston, for my money, is usually the best defense in the country, and they're number 2 on KenPom right now. Iowa State, number 4 in the country on KenPom defense right now. Kansas is number 9 going into tonight. Tennessee is the worst of the 4 at 13, and Tennessee has been a top 5 defense in KenPom each of the last 5 years. So if the offense was ever going to look bad, it was going to be against this stretch of games. And I do think that we put too much stock in Coach Autry doesn't run plays. It's not as if they changed the playbook tonight. It's not as if they did anything drastically different. But what happened was J.J. Starling made a couple shots down the stretch. Tennessee missed that bunny from Jalen Carey. Maybe not quite a bunny, but a pretty good look there from about 5 feet away at the end of the game. That's how basketball goes sometimes. Who makes the winning plays, who doesn't? It's a thin margin. It's a fine line. And it's not like Syracuse had to go back to the drawing board after the Vegas trip and scrap everything they had been doing. They just need to get over the hump. They need to see one of these wins fall their way, and that will hopefully give them some confidence and free them up a little bit. And now you go back to playing lower-level competition, and you look at how the ACC schedule starts, and that Clemson game is going to be big, the ACC opener on New Year's Eve. But really, it kind of eases into things. So you should be a team come mid-January, come late January, that is at the bare minimum on bracketology. And it's been a little bit. So I think we all knew from what we saw in the bulk of the season to this point, this is the best team Coach Autry has had. This is a team that is way better than the 20-win team, even in year one, clearly way better than last year's team. But if they had lost that game tonight, it really wouldn't have mattered that they got a lot better. And it wouldn't have mattered that Donnie Freeman was out for the biggest stretch of the season, and that may have derailed the season if they lost the game tonight. That all doesn't matter. The excuses are out the window at this point, and they know that, and they came through tonight. And it was not easy to get that win tonight, and it took everything, and it took Sadiq White stepping up, and it took J.J. Starling making great plays. And now it feels like this team kind of fits where they should be right now. This is more adequate or more representative of what this team is, getting one of those wins. So now let's see what happens from here on out. When they go into ACC play, I feel pretty good. I think this is a team that will compete with everyone in ACC play. And it seems like I'm getting a lot of texts to ACC. It seems like the ACC is doing a fairly good job tonight. Let's give one scoreboard update before we get out of here. Miami beating Ole Miss by 12. We like that. Ooh, Florida State getting run by Georgia. We don't like that. That's 59-36 Georgia on top of Florida State from Tallahassee. Florida State's actually had a surprisingly good start to the year, but they're not expected to be much this year in the ACC. Missouri and Notre Dame locked in a tight game. Duke got the win. I saw the chat was talking about Malik Brown. He must have had a big hand in Duke's big win at Cameron over the defending national champs, Florida. They won the game by 1. Virginia Tech in overtime over South Carolina. We like that. Wake lost to Oklahoma. We don't like that, but Wake has actually had a pretty nice start to the year. They challenged Michigan about as much as anyone to this point in the year. Texas A&M beat Pittsburgh. So it seems like it's kind of a toss-up right now. UNC Kentucky is tied at 31 at the half, but Syracuse getting a big win over Tennessee. That's a monumental win, not just for Syracuse, but also for the league. And that's good to see. Fun post-game show here on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio. We'll have a lot of fun shows the rest of the week, too. And we hope you will tune in tomorrow, 12 to 2 for Orange Nation. Stephen Pauly will be reacting to this big win. Fran Brown's live press conference at 12:30-ish on Orange Nation, National Signing Day. We'll have a lot of fun stuff to talk about tomorrow. Don't forget, women's basketball team has their ACC-SEC challenge game tomorrow night from the Dome as well. They're taking on Auburn. The women's team off to a nice start to the year. They have lost just one game so far, beat a power conference opponent in Utah, lone loss to Michigan, and they will play a pretty solid Auburn team tomorrow night. So that would be a good one to attend at the Dome as well. Thanks to all of you in the Cuse Sports Talk chat. Thanks to Paul McCoy for producing, and we will talk to you next time on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
Catch Fran Brown's